All right, good morning, everyone. This is Prem. Welcome to the virtual veteran job fair hosted by Intellectual Point. Like to welcome you all to this job fair. We have a fantastic agenda lined out for you this morning. So I like to welcome all of you. The host for this event will be John Lehman. He is our Senior Director for Veteran Services, and he will be introducing the speakers and continuing the flow of the presentations. And then I will be back towards the end of the presentation to give you my thoughts. So everybody, welcome, and I will turn over the floor to John.
Good morning, Prem. Thank you for the introduction. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody's having a blessed day today. You're in for a great virtual job fair today. Everybody that's going to be presenting today has a heart for veterans. So I believe that there's going to be some great synergy here. They're also going to be offering up some great information. So you guys know who we are. We are Intellectual Point, and we offer the best in IT education for you to be able to get your foot in the door on the IT side of the house, to include cyber, cloud, RPA, and your AI and your ML needs. So when you graduate, don't forget about us, because we do continuous education to help you flesh out your career in the near future. So what's on our agenda today is we have Carl Savino speaking first, and he is the founder and president of Corporate Gray. Then we have Tina Nicholson, who is the senior recruiter and talent acquisition for Citrix. Both of these people have a huge heart for the veteran community. I had a chance to message back and forth with Carl, and I've spoken with Tina face to face, and I'm impressed with the way that they are embedded within the veteran community. Then we have Dylan Kodak from Apex Systems. They're always working with our veteran community at Intellectual Point. So Apex is tried and true to always assisting the veterans that are in our pipeline. Then we have Adam, and Adam is a veteran advocate through and through, but he works for Ridgeline, and Ridgeline is an amazing company that does a lot of R&D stuff. Then we have FDM, and Michael Griffin is a huge veteran advocate, and that's essentially how I stumbled into Michael, is because of the work that he's done within the veteran community. We have Tiffany Savage, who is a graduate from Intellectual Point, and she works for Visa right now, but she has a great success story, and it wants to share some of the experiences that she's had at Intellectual Point, but how that translates into the market directly. Then we have Kim Brinkley for career advice, and she works for Savannah River National Laboratories, and I believe they're looking for some positions in Aiken, South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So last but not least, we have the CEO of Intellectual Point, who's Prem Jilani. Fantastic at being able to speak and teach in inductive and deductive reasoning for everybody to be able to learn IT, cyber, cloud. So I want to say thank you to everybody that has pro-offered their time to come and participate in this. So thank you. Now, quick surveys. Where are you guys located? Are you open to relocating? And are you looking to work remote? These are questions that always pop up, but if you can address these internally and also address these questions later on, then perhaps we can flesh out some answers for you. These are some of the companies that we've worked with in the past that are starting to grow out a hiring stream for Intellectual Point. You can see on here, there's some veteran advocate places like ProVet, ACP, and they're great for mentorship. So if you guys haven't participated in those, I would suggest that you start to do that. This way you can surround yourself with professionals that want to help you in your professional development. So we do have a veteran job board, and the links are here. And please don't forget about the other programs that we have, particularly the MICA program and the Army Cool program and the Air Force Cool program. If you are active duty, or if you know people that are active duty and they want their wives skilled up, the MICA program's an amazing program to be able to skill up your spouse so that way they can have meaningful employment when you're going on deployments and be able to work from home. So if you need more information about that, then let me know. We can start to discuss that. With the Army Cool programs, the Air Force Cool programs, it's part of their tuition assistance where they can assist you in flowing that out. And I can put you in contact with Cameron because he's running that portion of our training. And then everybody is familiar with the VRAP and the Vet Tech program. And if you know any veterans that are looking at pivoting into tech, the VRAP program is only going to be around till December. So if you know anybody that kind of fits into that first Gulf War status and they're having a hard time finding work, please refer them to us. We do have a referral program, if you guys don't know, that if you do refer 5 people to us and they start classes with us, you'll get a free course. And I can put a link in the chat later on for that for you guys as well. Vet Tech program, a good majority of you are really familiar with that program, and VRE. We are constantly assisting veterans in getting meaningful employment and working towards your career goals in cybersecurity, cloud, RPA. So what I would like to do is I would like to open the floor up to Carl Savino.
Okay, good morning, everyone. John, thanks for the introduction. Can everyone see my slides? Or do I need to share a screen, John?
I can see them.
We see them.
Oh, you can, okay.
Right now, we still see our slides, so we need you to share your slides. That's still the Intellectual Point intro slide.
Okay, let me, so I should share screen, correct?
Yeah, you need to share your screen.
Okay,
Yes, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Carl Savino. I've been in the military to civilian career transition business now for about 25 years. My purpose is to quickly go through what I consider to be the best ways to work a virtual job fair. I started Corporate Gray in 1994 with one mission. That's to help veterans of all ranks and branches of service connect with employers nationwide. And we do it through 3 ways. Through our book, The Military to Civilian Transition Guide, in person, we were doing in-person events to now virtual events, and through Corporate Gray online. So what's the purpose of a virtual job fair? It's to enable companies to identify candidates that they think best match their needs. I would suggest to you that this is a first cut. In general, companies are not going to make hiring decisions directly from the virtual job fair, but it is an excellent venue to identify those candidates that the companies think are a good fit for follow-on interviews. So again, it may be the case, some hires could be made directly from the virtual event, but typically, let me say, it takes more vetting in that process. So anyways, for what it's worth, I just want to manage expectations. A virtual and in-person job fairs have some commonalities. And first and foremost, I think the upfront homework is key, and I'll go into what I mean by that. Secondly, you'll be interacting live with the company recruiters via currently text chats or audio and video connections. So most of the third-party platforms that we have seen enable both text chatting as well as video interactions with the company recruiters. So we like to say, quote, it's live, in the sense that those are not recorded interactions, those are live interactions. And frankly, the post-event actions are the same. As with the in-person event, we strongly encourage you to follow up with those companies in which you are most interested, and specifically send a follow-up email or a letter within 24 hours of the interview. I normally recommend an email and updating and attaching the most current version of your resume, one that best aligns with that company's needs. So before a virtual job fair, let me tell you what I think is most important. Number one, you want to research the companies. Of course, you should visit the company's website, but I would also recommend that you use sites like Hoover's or Manta.com, Glassdoor.com to gain additional information into those companies. Who are the top 5 officers? What are their primary products or services? Is that company in an industry that's on the upside or the downside? What types of opportunities exist within that firm? Try to get some sensing as to what the requirements are, compensation, and the like. I'm a huge fan of using LinkedIn to find people who are currently working at the companies in whom you're most interested and ask them for their assistance. Of course, be sensitive to their time requirements. Maybe this is something that's better, for example, after work or possibly during their lunch hour. But what you want to do is get as much insight, as much G2, if you will, as much intelligence into those companies and what they're looking for. So again, use your inside track to really ferret out those opportunities that appear to be the best fit to you based on the skills and experience that you bring to the table. I also encourage you to visit each of those companies' virtual booths in advance of the event. Try to identify their job opportunities and additional information related to the company. I'm going to use our platform as a framework, but the information I'm going to convey here is appropriate regardless of whose platform you're using. I think it's especially important that you search and apply for positions in advance. So on our site, for example, when you visit our website, click on View Attending Employers, you can see who the companies are that we're participating in that next event. When you click on the number of jobs that a company has posted, it's going to launch a job search for that company. You can then apply additional filters such as keywords or state. And again, your goal is to identify specific opportunities that you think are a good fit. And I encourage you to apply in advance so that when it's your turn to come up to bat, i.e. to interview with that company recruiter, you're using that chat time or that video time to reinforce why you think you're a good fit based on your skills, experience, and interest in the opportunity. So again, I like to say, you're in the driver's seat, you're the marketeer, it's up to you to present to that prospective employer why you think you're a great fit for that opportunity. One way that we do it in Corporate Gray is, I come back to you to say there are 3 things you should do. Number 1, you should research the companies. Number 2, you should search and apply for positions in advance. And number 3, you want to use your LinkedIn contacts to ferret out additional information. So on our site, this is how we do it. You click on the company name, it pops up the company profile. When you click on the number of jobs posted, it's going to run a job search for that company. You can then apply additional filters. And then thirdly, you can reach out to your LinkedIn contacts. When you click on the LinkedIn network button, it's going to run a people search specific to you, assuming you have a LinkedIn account, so that you can identify your first, second, and third level contacts at each of those companies. So again, I'm just showing Corporate Gray as an example, but the same principles apply regardless of whose job you're attending. If it's a virtual event, make sure you research the companies, identify opportunities of interest, apply in advance, and really leverage your network to get as much out of this as you possibly can. I think before the event, some other things you want to do are prepare answers to some commonly asked questions. And I'm just going to read the first one. You can read the others for yourself. But typically, companies are going to ask that, tell me about yourself. And that's not, a biographical sketch of where you were born to where you are now. It's really an opportunity for you to tell that prospective employer how the skills and experience, perhaps the training that you've received through Intellectual Point, how that maps to their specific needs. So again, the more careful job you do, the better job you do in explaining how your skills and experience align with a specific position of interest within that company, the better off you're going to be. Again, show flexibility as well. For those of you who are military in the audience, here in the DC area, having a security clearance is certainly important. Also, you need to know what your salary requirements are. At some point, that prospective employer is going to ask you what you're looking to make. Remember that that's a starting salary. So take that into account, and also take into account salary is one part of total compensation. So money is important, but money is not everything. So again, look for best fit. I like to say best fit, you like the people, you like the job, it's a reasonable commute, and you feel like it's an opportunity to grow. So again, those are some of the things that I recommend you consider going into this event. Prepare questions to ask. So just like you're going to be asked questions, have a couple of questions that you want to ask that prospective employer, and make these questions research-based. In other words, do your homework. Know enough about the company that you can ask intelligent questions that are obvious just by visiting their website. So again, do your homework, ask research-based questions that are going to give you insights into what it could be like working for that company. For example, what's a career path look like at your firm? If I'm an entry-level software developer, what's my next step? What type of are there internships opportunity? What if I have a question or two down the road? So again, try to get as much insight into the opportunities as you possibly can. During the virtual job fair, typically you're going to start in the event lobby. You want to be prepared to copy and paste information you've already typed up. So my recommendation, folks, to the job seekers on this call is type up your answers to commonly asked questions. Type up the questions you want to ask those prospective employers so that you can quickly copy and paste into the text block. So again, as I said earlier, most of these third-party platforms start with a text chat, and then some give you the ability to go video. What you want to do, again, is make sure that you make this as simple as possible for yourself. Unless you're a speed typist, I am not. You want to be able to prepare and copy and paste where it makes sense. Salary is important. As I said earlier, if asked about salary, I always recommend try to tactfully defer till later in the process. If they press you, you might want to say, hey, if you can tell me what the range is for this position, I'll let you know whether or not we should still be talking. So again, use sites like salary.com, Glassdoor, and others. But again, I think it's also important that you look at fellow graduates of Intellectual Point and ask them for help in identifying what's a reasonable salary range based on someone with your training and your background. After the job fair is over, make sure you follow up. I always recommend following up via an email. 3 parts of that email: remind them where you met them, i.e. at what virtual job fair, for example. Re-explain how your skills and experience map to their needs, and reinforce your interest in the position. Hey, I really like the company. I like the position. What do you see as a next step for me? So, nothing wrong with asking about next steps. And if I were you, I would attach a resume that is really tailored to that opportunity. So again, make it as easy as possible for that recruiter to see how you are potentially a good fit for their opening. You might also want to follow up with your LinkedIn contacts who are working for those companies in whom you have interest and with whom you've interviewed. Just quickly, our job fairs are shown here. We do a 3-hour event. You're certainly encouraged to participate in our job fairs. So hopefully I did not go over. Those are my thoughts on how to best work a virtual job fair. I wish you all the best in your search, and congratulations in your completing or about to complete your Intellectual Point training. Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you. Carl, thank you so much for giving all the wonderful insight and the experience that is going to work to assist the veterans in becoming relevant in the market. I really appreciate that. The next speaker that we have is Tina Nicholson. Now, Tina's amazing. I had a chance to speak with Tina on a couple different occasions, and I'm just very impressed with the heart that she has for the veteran community. She is wonderful to deal with. So with no further ado, Tina, I'd like to open the floor to you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Carl. Carl, those were some very good talking points that you mentioned earlier. Thank you for joining today with such a great group of veteran advocates. My name is Tina Nicholson, and I work for Citrix Solutions, which is a global IT software company based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We specialize in digital workspace for IT professionals, and I am here today because I am motivated because I have a son in the 2nd Battalion Ranger Regiment, so I have a big heart for the military and the companies that I work for. I am involved heavily in their ERG program, so I'm thrilled to share my background, knowledge on what companies, recruiters, and hiring teams are looking for in veteran candidates. I'm based out of Kentucky. I've been in IT for over 18 years with government contractors in Fort Knox, US-based companies like HP Enterprises, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Collins Aerospace, GE, most recently Google, and now Citrix. So I'm very happy to be here. Most companies have a military ERG or employee resource group program that supports the hiring of veterans in their organization. And it's usually comprised of fellow veterans, veteran spouses, and military families in support of hiring you guys. So some examples of some of the companies that we partner with, Hiring Our Heroes is one of them. Microsoft has a program, it's called an MSSA program. SkillBridge is another program that you can work with within companies like Raytheon. And they help to bring, veterans into an organization, whether it's in IT or outside of IT, and there's many others to help bring in veterans on a temporary basis to work in different areas of the business to see where they could excel with their experience, with the expectation of eventually bringing them on full time within a specified time frame. At Citrix, we have roughly about 90 veteran members in our ERG program who are specifically focused on hiring and supporting their fellow military veterans and families globally. So we also give back to our military community and help current members of the military succeed in technology careers. So we are a technology-based company, and we really are adamant about bringing in veterans. So with that being said, I'm going to try to share my screen. So, what we're really talking today from a recruiter perspective is, what do recruiters look for when they are, looking at a veteran's profile, resumes, and experience? And I will tell you, for the most part, in my experience and working over the last 18 plus years with hiring teams, hiring managers, HR, leaders within the organization, it really comes down to a few things. It's being able to articulate and transfer those skills that you have obtained in the military into, the civilian side. There are so many tools out there for veterans to use to, translate those technical skills that you have obtained into, the lingo that we like to see on the corporate side. And, there's a lot of opportunity to, showcase what you know, because, we truly know that you could probably run circles around, the majority of candidates that, just come from that traditional corporate background. So with that being said, a couple of things that I look for, that are most important in terms of skill set are soft skills. So soft skills are a broad set of transferable skills that are mainly related to the way you work with other people. They include your social communication skills, your emotional skills, your people skills, and they're also tough to teach and difficult to measure. So, when you're talking to someone over the phone and you're trying to get a feel as to whether this person is, going to be a good fit for my culture, will they fit in with this team? You're listening for those skills and how they communicate, how they articulate, how they answer questions. And even if you are in a situation where you're being asked technical questions and you're not right, you're incorrect, you're stumbling, they're listening to how you're working through that question. It doesn't have to be right. It just has to be, you have to have a way to think through the question and articulate and admit when you're in, be humble enough to admit that you don't know all the answers, but that you're willing to learn. So in technology specifically, we're not looking for somebody to come in and hit the ground running and, having, 8 years of experience in software development and understanding the whole SDLC lifecycle. What we're looking for are those, junior to mid-level developers who are willing to learn and grow within the organization and can come in with some sort of foundation. The hard skills are easy to teach and measure. They consist of abilities that are often job specific and can be more easily, obtained through a formal education or training. And those examples would be your technical skills, engineering, and even certification skills. But the winner are the soft skills. The soft skills are favored over hard skills any day by a hiring manager. We did a survey and hard skills came in at 39% versus soft skills favored by 61. So it's really important to, practice and articulate, what your skill set is in terms of, being able to communicate properly and just work with the recruiter and, during the interview process, just being humble. So, I believe that those are very important to know because, we can all teach the hard skills, but the soft skills cannot be taught. And if it's not, and if it's a match, we're willing to give you guys a try. The hiring manager is willing to hire a candidate and train for those, train for the hard skills. We can train you on software development. We can train you on the back end, the front end, all of those tools. We can train you in cybersecurity. We can train you in anything related to IT, but it's the soft skills that win. It's being part of a team, your problem solving, and, your leadership and integrity. And that's why we like to look for, the veteran community. It's a diverse community. And, you guys bring a lot of value and things that cannot be taught. So you really do have another leg up there. And also, a soft skill is a consultative approach as well. So yeah, especially at Citrix. And so also wanted to talk a little bit about what we look for, what I look for as a recruiter. And these are things, I'm not going to talk about the traditional things that you're going to hear as you transition out of the military in terms of, how to format your resume and other things like that. What I am going to talk about is LinkedIn. I think that the way that I have been able to have success with hiring veterans is on LinkedIn. I am a LinkedIn guru. I will always believe that LinkedIn is favored over any other social media platform in order to give yourself the ability to get out there in the market, partner with other recruiters, partner with other hiring managers, look and do your research. There's tons of company information on LinkedIn, and I think that veterans don't utilize it enough. I've got a couple of examples of some fellow veterans that I've worked with over the years that sit here in Louisville, Kentucky, that if it, they are just amazed at the what's happened to them over the years. I mean, I relocated a guy here to Louisville, Kentucky, who knew no one out of the Air Force after 25 years, and he was able to land a senior program manager role in IT with Dell, but it was through networking. It was through engagement. It was through building your brand on LinkedIn. So by staying engaged on LinkedIn, it helps you build more credibility and it develops your personal brand. I believe that LinkedIn is a living document that should be updated and changed as things happen in your career, especially during your job search. When you're applying for positions through company websites, you're going to get less than a 4% chance of landing that interview. Use LinkedIn, apply through LinkedIn. You can find the same company on LinkedIn and you have the ability to apply to their positions on LinkedIn, which aggregates and goes right into their ATS system, which will appear in their system just as if you applied on their website. So by using LinkedIn, recruiters and hiring managers get to see a much clearer picture of your profile and a fit for our organization. I can't tell you how many times I have created a project in LinkedIn just by searching through candidates that are veterans in the military. And, I can download that project. I can take that project and share it right with the hiring manager. I'll give you an example. I have a team of software developers and hiring managers that I work with in Raleigh, and they are actively wanting me to hire and recruit for some junior software developers that are either veterans or have come out of like a boot camp with little to no experience. So I was able to create those projects in LinkedIn, download those profiles, send them right to the hiring manager so that they can review the profiles. So it's really important that you keep that LinkedIn profile up to date. You're going to get a lot of exposure also through interaction and responding to posts and sharing. So, as an example, there's a couple of really good veteran leaders on LinkedIn that have a lot of presence. And one thing that, that I've learned and that, they have taught me is that when you engage and when you respond, not just liking a post, but when you're actually commenting on those posts that they're posting and really being engaged on LinkedIn, that's where you're going to be seen. I've seen of many veterans who are either in the process of transitioning or actively looking, where they'll, make a post about, that they're looking for a cybersecurity position, and they list their experience. They attach their resume. That has been shared hundreds of times by other veterans, leaders, organizations, groups on LinkedIn, and that person ends up landing a position just through LinkedIn, just through networking on LinkedIn. So, more presence and connected. So it's a very good way to stay connected. Also, I just wanted to add a tip. When creating your LinkedIn summary, remember it's not a biography, but it's a summary to showcase, how you can translate your skills into, the corporate world. So, there's a lot of opportunity to showcase yourself on LinkedIn. So you don't have to have one thing I wanted to mention, you don't have to have 15 years of experience in a job. You have 15 years of experience in an industry with multiple jobs. So be mindful of that as well. So if you're looking at a position that is requiring, 10 years of experience, well, you have 10 years in the military. Maybe you've worked on that same, in the same area, but you've held different titles. You might not necessarily have 10 years of experience. So just be mindful of the years of experience that we're looking for in each particular area. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is it's really important to connect. So I would advise set a goal for yourself to connect with at least, 50 to 75 recruiters in different verticals and organizations, because number one, you get to interact with them. You can get, create an opportunity to have a relationship with those recruiters, to understand what's going on in their organization, see what they post. And it's just a really good way to network. So I would advise picking some companies that you're interested in and just really working with the recruiters within those organizations. And then, just the bottom line, I think veterans can improve their chances of being hired by connection and networking with recruiters in many different verticals. Engage, connect, ask questions about their programs. And, other people within their organization could also be key. So with not just the recruiter, but there's also a military presence, and most companies have those ERG programs. And you may want to ask your recruiter, who to contact within that organization. That could be a veteran advocate if that recruiter is not. We look for activities that show your dedication to your desired career path. I'm looking on your resume for boot camps, certifications, maybe that degree that you're obtaining in that desired field, and a consistency in your desired path. So I don't want to see you jumping all over the place from one, being a project manager to, something completely different. Try to be consistent in what it is that you're wanting to do. So we see candidates that come through the military careers hiring programs also. So I am looking at, within my organization, I'm looking at candidates who have applied to those programs as well. And also we have third-party companies that we work with as well. And I'm just going to move my screen over here. TechQual is one of them. It's not a large company, but we work closely with this company, and the veterans apply to be an applicant for technical roles within various companies. And so we partner, and I will go out occasionally and look at the current applicants that are actively looking at opportunities, because they're a part of TechQual. So I would highly recommend looking at companies outside of some of those larger ones like Hiring Our Heroes, but also there's a lot of value in some of these other smaller third-party companies. Recruiters have access to those candidates. So it's important to look at those. And also, we take special notice of candidates and veterans who come through our ATS system as referrals. So, for instance, if you know someone in a particular company and there is interest in a position, make sure that when you apply, you list them as a referral, because when recruiters are looking, especially at Citrix, we take referrals seriously. So if I'm looking at a role and I've got 15 candidates, and I see that 3 of them have referrals, I'm going to take notice of those because that referral is within my organization, and I want to make sure that I look at those first. So just be mindful of that. That may be something that you've never heard of before, but it's something that I look for. And of course, I like to see candidates who leverage their connections to the military community on LinkedIn as well. So utilize those connections. Connect with those other military groups within LinkedIn, because recruiters are on those groups. And when we see you engaging, we might take notice if you post something out there that you're looking for something in IT. I might see it one day and just say, hey, that looks like a good fit for one of my roles. So be mindful that engaging and responding to posts, it's very important. We also look for candidates who post their transition status and availability on LinkedIn. Again, I think I mentioned that, usually it gets multiple shares, and then it helps us, bring an incredible group of professionals and diversity into our workforce. So I am adamant about hiring you guys, and just hopefully that was helpful. But also wanted to mention to customize your resume and add your technical skills separately, and usually at the top of those first 2 or 3 bulleted items. If you're applying for a position, a software position, and we're looking for some front end tools, and you have those, make sure that we can see those at the top. So just make sure that they're transferable, as well as the soft skills as well. So that is all I have.
Tina, that was absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you sharing all that information with us today. The wonderful thing with LinkedIn, and you highlighted this quite well, is that in the military community, roughly on LinkedIn in the United States, we have about 2.2 million active duty and veterans that are on LinkedIn. So if we make it a mission for all of us to connect with at least 100 veterans, we potentially could have everybody within our 1st and 2nd and 3rd degree networks on LinkedIn within a year, if we all chose to link with other people that were outside of our network. So super, super information. I really appreciate you sharing everything that you shared with us today. And I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So the next person that we have is Dylan Kodak. Now, Dylan, I've worked with Dylan here and there at Apex Systems, and Dylan has a wealth of experience in working in the veteran community. So with no further ado, what I would like to do is open the floor up to Dylan.
Appreciate it, John. I'm going to screen share here.
I see the Marine flag.
I had to represent. All right, let's see here. Let's do a slideshow. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, John. It was great information. My name is Dylan Kodak. I'm the National Veteran Advocate here at Apex Systems. I served 4 years in the Marine Corps, 2nd LAR out of Camp Lejeune. I also government contracted overseas in Afghanistan and Iraq, flying some drones. And then before taking over this position, I actually recruited on our government services team, filling a lot of positions that are common, in intellectual point, cybersecurity, infrastructure. So I just wanted to give a brief overview of Apex Systems. And I also had a few key pointers, best practices on working with recruiters. So Apex Systems, we are a professional IT staffing and consulting services firm. We have 70 plus branch locations, offices, you can see here on this list. A variety more. These are just our offices, but we work positions nationwide. And I also have some links too that I will drop in the chat afterwards to link you to some of these. You can find this page on our Contact Us page. So industries we serve. These are some of the top industries. Like I mentioned, I worked on the government services team, so that's kind of the primary clients that I supported. But all of these are very large. I'd say the biggest ones are going to be our technology, healthcare, and government services industries. But each of these, we have positions available, a variety of skill sets, all from, customer service all the way to, application developers. I believe I have a slide here. These are kind of the common areas of focus. Infrastructure and security is kind of the skill set that I targeted when recruiting. A lot of cybersecurity, system administrators, network engineers, those kind of positions. I'd say that infrastructure and security, along with applications and data management, are probably the top areas that I've personally seen. But variety of positions, variety of industries that we serve that are available. So why Apex? So we offer a variety of different contracts. So we offer contracts, contract to hire, and direct hire positions. So typically a contract's going to be 6 months in length. A contract to hire will typically be 6 months, with the possibility of extension or being brought on, just depending on the client's needs. And a lot of it is performance-based as well. And then also direct hire. So we hire, directly for a permanent position. So with Apex, all our contractors get benefits. You get health, vision, dental. There's some discounts available. Great place for connections, especially if you're going to work a 6-month contract, you can make some good connections and network there before you, either stay on the same contract or move on to a different opportunity. We have some awesome training and development available for our contractors. And we also have a great support team. So we actually have a contractor care team that is they're there to help you out during the duration of your contract, answer any questions you may need, and just be there to support you overall. So had a couple tips here for best practices with working with recruiters. So we have our online job portal. There's a chance that you could find the recruiter's name on there. I will say that only maybe 35 to 40% of our positions are posted on that portal. Our recruiters are working a lot of positions, with quick turnovers, so they might be aware of more positions that are out there. So you can find that recruiter's name in the job posting. That's one way. I recommend LinkedIn. You can type in up in the search like Apex Systems Recruiter in your location, and that's another way to find them. I would recommend, as much as we want to place you on a contract or a position with us, we recommend you work with, 2 or more skill-focused recruiters. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to be able to have, more opportunity for you. So I always say transparency is key too. If you are working with other people, just let the recruiter know. Just be honest. You just want to build that relationship and that connection. And the more transparent you are, the more transparent the recruiter will be as well. I'm a huge fan of doing video meet and greets. It's a good way to build that connection and, kind of sell yourself as a candidate as well. And then you definitely want to ask the right questions too. You want to ask the recruiter what kind of skill sets they're working. If you're looking for a cyber or infrastructure type position, you might not want to be talking to a recruiter that focuses, strictly on, applications or development. So good question to ask. What skill sets do you support? And if they're not working the one that, you're looking for, they should be able to direct you in the right direction. And then we also recommend reaching out every 1 to 2 weeks, whether that be LinkedIn, phone call, email, just check in to see status. And then number 6 here, provide candidate marketing materials. This just provides something to the recruiter that, it sets you apart from other candidates. This could be, a portfolio you have of some work that you've been doing. You can mention, one resource that I absolutely love is Meetup. You can join groups in your local community and stuff like that. Anything extra that's showing that you're going out of your way to learn the most and develop yourself. All right, so this is a screenshot here of our STEM and veteran portal. We recommend that anyone that is part of a program like this or a part of a STEM program go to this portal. It'll have you upload your resume, answer a couple questions, kind of like what you're looking for and stuff like that in the job market. And this just tags you in our system as a STEM or veteran candidate and helps bring visibility to your profile for our recruiters. And I will be dropping links so everyone has access to this as well. So some additional resources. So we have our career readiness resources. We have a variety of articles on anything from resume to job seeking to interview prep to thank you letters. Pretty much everything we got covered on articles or videos that can help you out on any step of your job search. We have some webinars and workshops that are awesome as well. And then we also have the Apex Veteran Redeployment Initiative webpage that recently got built out. And one thing I wanted to note on this page is that we actually just got a skills translator as well. So you can type in your MOS and it'll directly connect you to positions that we have open that are related to that. This is under our career resources as well. This is an article that I wrote on transitioning, just some advice that I have. I'll link that as well. And then speaking of webinars, I have an upcoming panel discussion coming up with some great guests, and I got Cameron here from Intellectual Point speaking on it as well. But we will just be giving some career guidance for military and veterans, and it should be a good time, pretty informational. So I will drop the link for that as well. And then if anyone has any questions, I have 2 email addresses here, militaryjobs@Apex, and then my other email here. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm not recruiting anymore, but I am more than happy to help anyone get in touch with the right recruiter or the right contact. But that is all I have.
Dylan, thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
Knowing everything that you've done in uniform and then outside of uniform, I'm super curious about the whole drone thing, so I'm going to have to get with you after that. It's pretty cool stuff. So I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to everybody and just adding value to the community as a whole. So thank you for working with Cameron and bringing awareness to those that are active and just growing the great news. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the next speaker that we have, Adam. Adam has a wealth of knowledge in dealing with research and development, and just some pretty cool stuff goes on at Ridgeline. It's interesting, and I don't want to steal any of Adam's thunder. I've spoken to Adam a couple of times online and have a working relationship with Adam. So with no further ado, what I would like to do is open the floor up to Adam for him to explain some of the cool things that go on at Ridgeline and what he does within the veteran community. Adam, the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate the love. Hey, guys and gals. Nice to meet you all. So you can put a face to a name. Hey, I'm in the Outer Banks right now, so enjoying the beach as I present to you this morning. I love what I do. And the reason why I got into recruiting was actually because of the military. I served active duty in the Marine Corps and had a little taste of recruiting duty while doing that. And, one of the best things about that experience was I was changing people's lives, right? Putting them into an opportunity to serve the country, right? Now, as I look at the civilian side of the world, I not only have the pleasure and honor of helping my fellow veterans find employment opportunities, but I get to give people the opportunity to do some of the best work of their life by working for an awesome company like Ridgeline. So we do a lot of work in the veteran community, and I'm honored to be able to be in a position where I am today to be able to support the community today and finding those opportunities. So let me share my screen. I have a slide deck that I want to just run through. I'm not going to kill you with PowerPoint, I promise you, but some good nuggets of information on who Ridgeline is. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
We see it.
Great,
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so let me see here. All right, cool. So here's a little bit about me. I'm from Long Island, New York. I love all New York sports teams. Unfortunately, the only good sports team that New York has to offer right now are the Yankees, although they've been kind of hit or miss. I'm a technical recruiter. I actually lead all the recruiting alongside our director for Ridgeline. It's a small shop. It's just the two of us, but we have about a 200-person company. When I first started with Ridgeline back in 2019, I've been with the company for 3 years and some change now at this point. We had just around 100, so we doubled in size since I joined the organization. I'm also our military outreach and program manager, so I work directly with all of the military transition offices. I also work directly with veterans that are just interested in getting into technology, so I do a lot of one-on-one mentorship with veterans. I'm more than happy to do that as like a side hustle, right? Just to be able to help my brothers and sisters find opportunities, not just for Ridgeline, but just in general. Like if you need like help with your resume, you want help negotiating an offer, I can give you some real-time market data that are submitted by employers like salary.com, Glassdoor. Those are good references, but not actual like legit salary ranges that you can rely on when you're negotiating offers. I can give you hard data that companies like my company, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, some of the bigger tech companies as well that might have positions within the technology space where I can give you that data and it gives you a little bit of power when you're negotiating the offer. I love technology, so I love to geek out with technology. I mean, I think, we at Ridgeline, we like to have like T-shaped people. What I mean by that is the vertical stroke on a T is like a core competency, like that's where your expertise is. And then the crossbar on a T is like other things that you're interested in or you have knowledge in. My crossbar, I have a little bit in like accounting, I have a little bit in technology, I have a little bit in just like program management, just things like that. So I'm able to leverage into that and really just take advantage of what I have to offer there when it comes to technology, because I can speak to it. I understand Linux to a certain extent. I'm not that I can like run the command line, but I know I can speak to it. I can talk about the software development lifecycle and what that looks like. It just makes me a better recruiter, and I'm immersing myself in the environment that our technology people are actually working in, and allows me to really help our candidates have a better experience. I've been working in the HR recruiting space for 16 years. So I love what I do. I was an 0151 in the Marine Corps, personnel specialist, admin, HR, whatever you want to call it. But that my military experience transitioned perfectly to what I do today. And a fun fact about me is I'm a global missionary. I actually am a high capacity volunteer at my local church, a community church in Ashburn, Virginia, and we have a congregation of about 2,000 people. And I actually oversee all their global missionaries. So we had a team that went to Tanzania, Africa. I led a team down to Peru, just got back a few weeks ago. It was an incredible journey to be able to experience that. That's one of my side passions, and I'm glad I get to do that. So a little bit about Ridgeline, just a quick overview. We're headquartered in Tyson's Corner. We have a satellite brand spanking new satellite campus in Tampa. We actually have a training element of our business. So Ridgeline, our core areas of businesses, software and development, systems engineering, and training. So we're down in Tampa, Florida, supporting some customers down there. We actually run a schoolhouse here, which is pretty incredible. We have about 10 secured classrooms on site in Tyson's Corner, where we have students that are supporting, they're representing the government. But primarily what we do is we specialize in digital signature management. So we are a tech company. And like I mentioned earlier, we have over 200 employees and we specialize in digital signature management. Some of you may know what digital signature management is. I get kind of weird responses sometimes. Some people are like, oh, is it DocuSign or like, what is it? It's actually like your digital footprint or your digital signature. So we've been doing this since day one. We're in a really unique niche space, but our purpose is to help our customers navigate the complexity of UDC and UTS. And some of you are like, what is UDC and UTS? Well, UDC is the collection and long-term storage of data from devices, sensors, and infrastructure by private and governmental entities that are fueled by surveillance capitalism and the monetization of data. What that is essentially, you know who's a big culprit of monetizing your data? Google. You know, they make billions of dollars off of you from monetizing your data. Not that they're doing anything malicious with your data, but they're selling it to third-party advertisers. There's actually like real-time bidding on your data to be able to advertise to you. And just think about it, if you're an adversary to our country, to any type of national security initiatives, that can do some pretty big damage, right? We also do a lot with UTS, and UTS it's the comprehensive analysis of UDC in order to forensically reconstruct events and associate individuals with other people, activities, and organizations. So with all that said, we have a really unique comprehensive approach to digital signature management that's immersing our customers into an ecosystem of Ridgeline technology, training, and consultative services. So some of the tech that we're building is geared toward managed attribution and data transport solutions. So that's helping our clients protect their online presence from multiple locations across multiple devices. We're also building out secure communications where our clients can safely send emails, share files, IM each other by providing multiple layers of end-to-end encryption. So think of like Signal, right? Or WhatsApp, like those are commercial-based end-to-end encrypted devices or as applications, if you will. We actually have our own flavor that the government uses. We also develop custom Android apps that work directly with mission planning tools in our secure communication networks. And we also have a really awesome 3D printing lab on site where we can fabricate our own circuit boards, R&D technology. So doing a lot of research and development on new tech, innovative software, hardware, wherever our engineers are innovating, they are really just breaking stuff without getting in trouble in our lab, and they really enjoy doing that. So that's creating the opportunity for them to just think outside the box and create new technology for our clients. So a lot of cool stuff there. In our training area that I mentioned earlier, we touch a lot of students. So the bullet point there earlier. And our classes range from 3 to 10 days, but it's really, really interesting things that we're doing here. I'm not going to read the slide to you because I kind of touched on what UDC and UTS is. But essentially, this is what we do. So consultative services, tech services, all that good stuff. But veterans, you know, at Ridgeline, a lot of our teammates are veterans, a lot of prior service military. As you can see, these badges of honor, I call them, are things that we really take pride in when it comes to working with the veteran community. We have quite a few reservists on our team, and a big part of our organization make up of veterans. So we understand, you know, what a veteran can bring to the table, and also when you're working with our leadership, they understand how veterans are and what they have to bring to the table. So we do a lot of work with the veterans. And then careers, you know, if you're looking at careers in any of these areas, I got you. Like I can definitely give you a lot of great opportunities, coaching, and how to get into these areas if you're interested in working with them long-term. Systems administration is probably like our biggest need right now. Like if you want a job right now, like talk to me. I'm looking for system administrators. I have a need in our network operations center. It's a 24/7 operation where we're doing like tier 1, tier 2 support, help desk support, your troubleshooting. The pay range is between 80 to 110 a year. There's incentive pay for working the night shift. So I think we're doing like a 10% pay differential for that. But if you know Linux, and if you know networking, and if you have a security clearance, if you have those three things, like hit me up. I have a job for you, like today. Like I can get you an interview like this week on the phone with somebody. So talk to me. Linux, networking, clearance. Networking, Linux, clearance, all right? Here's some of our perks of being a Ridgeliner. We have some awesome benefits. So typically outside of the knock, because knock is a 24/7 thing. It's also a four days on, 3 days off rotation, by the way. But for any other type of role, we have flexible and remote work schedules, unlimited PTO, 10% 401k, clothing allowance. Yeah, we got that. You got that in the military, right? That's pretty awesome. We actually offer that here at Ridgeline. We are not a suit and tie kind of place. Our company is very casual. We also invest in you in your training and development. So you get $2,500 a year for training. That is applicable to like your certs, anything that you're passionate about, honestly. If you want to learn, we actually have a cohort internally of Ridgeliners that are actually setting up for the CCNA. We actually have like our leaders teaching the prep course. It's pretty awesome. You know, we foster a culture of learning and development. And you can actually use that training allowance for other things that you want to learn. You don't necessarily have to use it directly that's related to your job. I know me personally, I've looked at getting a pilot's license. I can actually use it for flight school. So things like that, because we understand that, you know, innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum. Sometimes you have to do things outside of your day-to-day to be able to get creative. And then you can see a slew of other really great perks of being a Ridgeliner. Anybody see Billions? The show Billions? There's a character on that show, Windy Roads. If you know that reference, we actually have like our own Windy Roads here. That's professional coaching services. We have a guy, his name is Ben Freakley. He actually was a performance coach for the Toronto Blue Jays. Has worked directly with some veteran service organizations, and he's actually one of our own performance coaches. So you will get that available to you as well as a Ridgeline employee. Here's just some pictures of our company around who we are. This kind of gives you a little bit of flavor of like who Ridgeline is, our culture. We love whiskey here at Ridgeline. We actually, every year we do a whiskey ceremony. We actually used to have a guy that we used to work outside the wire with down range. He actually lives in North Carolina now and actually makes his own whiskey, and he actually creates a cask for Ridgeline every year. He worked directly for one of our clients. We do a Tough Mudder every October. I'm actually training for the Tough Mudder right now. We could actually build drones here. We build drones with 3D printing, all that good stuff. So we like to have fun here and like to innovate and really just change the world. Here's some information from me. This is how you can get in touch with me. If you scan that QR code, I'll leave it up here. That'll drive you directly to my LinkedIn profile. Connect with me, shoot me a message. More than happy to be a resource for you and help you through your journey as you look into getting into technology. I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you. If I can get you a job with Ridgeline, awesome. If I can get you a job somewhere else, even better. But that's my main goal in life, is to help you with an opportunity to do some of the best work of your life. Again, I'm hiring for the knock: Linux, networking, security clearance. We have those three things. Hit me up, and I'd love to be able to connect you further to discuss. And that's all I have. Over. Any questions?
That was fantastic, Adam.
Thank you.
Go back to that last page, Adam, please.
Absolutely. Certainly. Here you go.
I had a question, Adam.
Yes, sir.
This is David. I'm out of Seattle. I was curious. Do you know, do you have a list of programs that are very reserve friendly? I know my buddy, he worked for Leidos, and for example, when he went on orders somewhere, they would pay the difference between the salary. I was curious if you knew. I know there's other companies like that. I was curious if you knew about any.
Are you talking about like geographical location as far as pay goes?
like when someone goes on order somewhere, like for their reserve mission, the company would pay the difference between the pay gap.
Yeah, they still get paid to a certain extent. And that's actually more like an HR question. I don't know off the top of my head and like as far as like what we specifically do for our people, but I know we take care of them at a minimum.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know if you guys have any like internship programs for new transitioning members into IT, like that wants to at least get their feet wet in regards to being trained, like, you know, making it like not so many hours, like because right now I work in federal government, so I have my 9 to 5, but I would like to do this like over the weekends and get my feet wet and learn more, so then I can be able to sell myself better to transition like straight into IT.
Yeah, great. That's a good question. I'm on a program right now. I'm creating like an internal academy essentially. It's like literally planning stages at the moment. Nothing has been like executed yet, but I actually got this idea from Uber. I was out in Seattle about 2 months ago at a tech recruiting conference, and Uber, give them a whole lot of credit. They have a really excellent military like hiring program. And what I want to do is I want to create like an in-house apprenticeship, an academy program for people that want to get into whatever flavor of technology that they're interested in pursuing. So if it's software engineering, systems engineering, system administration, I want to be able to create something to enable them to learn those skills and work side to side with our engineers and like learn from the best, whether it's, 10 hours, 20 hours a week, whatever they can put in to learn. We're working on that. So yeah, that's in the works right now that we're developing internally. I don't have like an exact like release point on like when that's going to go out to the wild, but if you want to stay in touch and we can navigate that in the future. I'm most certainly all about that.
For sure.
I can help you out there.
Thank you.
You can even be our guinea pig,
For sure. I don't mind,
Let's go.
I don't mind. I'll show you my resume and my LinkedIn too.
Please do. We love it.
Okay.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I heard you mention that you were looking for someone with systems administrative experience.
Yeah, I am.
Yes, I went ahead and shot you a message on LinkedIn because I saw you posted it on here. Okay. And then I also saw that you mentioned that you wanted someone with some Linux networking background as well. I have experience in both. I didn't see an option to submit my resume and bio, but whenever you get an opportunity, I went ahead and sent that message to you.
Yeah, please do. And I'll go ahead and respond to it and get you plugged in. I can even, if anybody's interested in that position, I can send you a link to the job and you can apply directly and I will officially throw your hat in the ring.
Thank you.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
Oh, just going back to that same question, the system administration, do you also have, because I work full-time as what's that called, in school for in technology. So would you have the same role, the system administration, like I could work at night for the system administration role? Okay. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it is a night shift.
Okay.
Position. So you're working 4 days a week and it's rolling schedule. It could be on weekends. It could be during the week, whatever the needs are on the team and based on everyone's availability. There's a lot of flexibility there. The team works collectively to figure out the best schedule that works for everybody.
Yeah.
So there's no hard line in saying, oh, you're working these days. But just kind of touch on that. In addition to the night shift, you are working that flex schedule. You do get a 10% pay differential. If you're working at holidays, like regular general holidays, you get 20% pay bump. And if you're working in major holidays, you get double pay, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. It's an hourly rate position, but you're working at a minimum 40 hours a week. But like anybody that's like, if you know how to work the command line, and a little bit of networking, and you have the attitude and the passion to learn, that's the recipe of somebody that we hire. We want to bring you on. So don't hesitate to apply.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So to be a respecter of time, let's save the rest of the questions for the end. Adam, I really appreciate you taking the time to run through everything. And Ridgeline always gets a buzz going on. I think it's the Tesla. So I really appreciate you sharing the information that you have here. So thank you for coming today. And have a blessed day.
You too, guys. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email or hit me up on LinkedIn, all right?
Well, everybody, that was Adam from Ridgeline. The next person that we have that's going to be speaking with us today is Mike Griffin. Now, Mike Griffin is a huge veteran advocate, and he works with FDM. I don't want to take any more time from Mike. So, Mike, with no further ado, the floor is yours.
Yes.
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 Awesome. Yes.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank Prem, Carrie, and John for extending the invitation out for myself and FDM to present our program and to share some knowledge, right? Some TTPs with the audience, with the veteran audience. Also, Dylan, Tina, Carl, and Adam, great presentations, great information. I learned some things this morning as well. So a little bit about FDM. I'm actually the Veterans Initiative Recruiter for FDM Group. Hold on, let me work my slides. I retired from the regular Army in 2020. I recruited from the regular Army in 1990. I joined the Army in 97, retired in 2020. Started off my career in healthcare, transitioned and made career into recruiting and retired as a recruiter 2 years ago. I'm passionate about, recruiting veterans into these IT and business roles. The business model for FDM is recruit, train, and deploy. It kind of has that military vibe to it, the whole process, from start to finish. The recruitment process is fairly simple. There's the interview, there's the assessment, and once the assessment is passed, we extend the offer for the position. It is some training involved in some slides later on in the presentation. I'll share those with you. And then the deployment process is once you completed training, then we deploy you to the client. Every branch has a set of values. I know Army we have our own core values, and FDM has some solid core values as well. And I believe we take it from each other's industry. I know a lot of things that corporate does, military grandfathers and vice versa. The value that stands out to me the most, and the one that I apply most to my recruiting efforts, is say it how it is. Being honest with my candidate that's in front of me, giving them, telling them the way it's supposed to be heard, not to hurt their feelings, but to give them honest critique. Because, as recruiters, we're the first line of defense before you sit for the interview. So I take pride in my candidates that I sent forward for the roles that the FDM has in their inventory. But other values stand out as well. We make it happen. Together we're stronger, and we strive for success. These are motivators. These is what's drive the organization for the last 20 plus years. So the Veterans Career Program. So I manage the two different points of entry for our careers program at FDM. The one is the technical career pathway, and the other direction is the business career pathway. As you can see, we have a fully supported career program that is vet to vet centric, right? We manage the vets from start all the way throughout the assessment process, through training, and once they've committed to a client and are on site, we are still connected to that veteran until they either went permanent with the client or they decided not to continue their contract obligation to FDM. We have a plethora of resources for veterans. when it comes to housing, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to any personal issues. We have a veterans recruitment team that manages situations amongst the veteran team internally. So we kind of take care of each other, take care of our own. The commercially relevant training, you know what that means, right? It means that we have, our training is not only accredited, but it produces certifications that you can take with you post FDM. For instance, we have a technical operations role, which encompasses OS admin, network admin, cloud computing, and cybersecurity. And you receive 2 certifications for the tech ops role. You'll receive your information technology infrastructure library cert and your cloud computing certification. So there's other roles as well that fall in that same category. So, once we get into the interview process, we'll discuss those more in depth. The experience we're working across our client base. So, FDM is a global company. It stood up in the UK in the early 90s and branched off into the US. I work out of the Charlotte office, but we have 5 offices in the US, 2 in Texas. I'm in the Charlotte office, then we have an office in New York City and 1 in Virginia. I think I heard Adams talk about the badges of honor when it comes to, being recognized as a veteran-friendly program. And this is a process where you have to be vetted. They just don't give these awards away. So I stand behind a lot of these accolades as far as, what FDM does for the veteran community when it comes to transitioning them into the uniform, into the corporate setting, into the IT roles. We're also DoD Skill Bridge approved. We work with veterans that are, reservists, National Guardsmen, even veterans that are, if there's any vets that's on this call that's overseas, that's trying to work, on their transition from, Germany or Korea. We've been able to manage those relationships so that we can, get them interviewed and accept offers before they even come back to the States. So that's just a one-on-one conversation between myself and the candidate. Launching your career. All right, again, FDM has 2 pathways, points of entry within our, our bandwidth when it comes to our clients and our vacancies. As an IT consulting firm, our business is driven from the client. So that when Bank of America needs 20 software developers and they're standing up an office in Raleigh, North Carolina, we get the op order. It comes from the top and down to recruiter level. And that's when myself and James, my recruiter that I work with in New York City, we start to source. We start to look for talent and we look for potential as well, because this is a training program, okay? Entry-level positions in tech and in business. I'm gonna expand on that in the next slide. So these are our 3 different pathways. The technical pathway will consist of full stack software development roles, quality engineering roles, and data engineering roles. So if you have a passion for, full stack, large data, the technical career pathway would be your focus. For business, those roles that fall under the business career pathway is business analytics, project management, and business intelligence, okay? That site picture to me will look like the commander and the first sergeant. The commander would be the project manager, and the first sergeant would be the business intelligence personnel, right? He provides all of the intel for the commander to make his decisions. That project manager needs that intel to lead the project, right? To communicate with the product owner and the stockholder. So that's a real strong, that's veteran. That's a very veteran-friendly role because we're great communicators. We're great at solving problems. We're great at managing talent, right? So a lot of times when veterans apply for a technical role, but they're not technical savvy, or they're just not strong in certain points in tech, like SQL Java, object-oriented programming, Linux, Unix, some of the different, things that we've been hearing throughout the presentations. And I would, I'll consult with them like, look, you can still work in the technical industry, but on the business side of things. A lot of times we, as consumers, we don't see the business side of technology, but it's definitely is there and is evident. The advanced PM project manager role, these are for senior non-commissioned officers, junior officers that's interested in taking their skill sets, and FDM in our career program, we can upskill you into these senior PM role managing technical projects, like an IT infrastructure project manager in that sense. Again, we at the advanced level, we look for you to have some project management experience, leadership experience, managing projects at a company, battalion level and above. And we work with the senior veterans that come through our program to provide them points of entry in the locations where they live. Like right now, we're working with Shell in Houston, to place 5 project managers, senior talent with veterans experience. And the same for our technical roles. Right now, we have driven programs with Morgan Stanley in New York. So if anyone on this call is interested in relocating to the tri-state area, we have positions located in that region of the country. We also have Bank of America in Charlotte, where I'm located. We're looking for project managers, risk regulation and compliance analysts. Again, I'm gonna share with you those roles in the next slide, but these are areas of points of entry of opportunity at FDM. As you can see under the deck, the training it fluctuates between 8 to 16 weeks. For the advanced project manager course that you're looking at 5 weeks. The technical course is 10 to 12 weeks. Same for the business course. All right, this slide deck is just echoing what I just shared with you. Our course is broken down into foundational knowledge. Again, I want to echo that this is an entry-level program. So if you're looking to get your foot in the door in the IT and to be able to learn and train at the same time, learn and earn at the same time. That's what I meant to say. This program will be best fit for you. Our core modules at our schoolhouse is Pro Skills, Excel, SQL, and Unix. Pro Skills, because we have grads in our program too, not just veterans. So we want to kind of bring everyone in at the same time, refocus them all at the same time. So now when they leave that block of training, they all have the same tools in a toolbox, like how to your 2-minute elevator pitch, right? If you only have 1 minute or 2 minutes to sit with a line manager, how would you present yourself? Okay, and then understanding tools like Excel, SQL, and Unix, and then after the core modules are completed, you'll be broken down into your specific training roles. Again, these are the technical roles: data engineering, technical operations, QE, and software development. And for business, risk regulation and compliance, BAPM, BI, and Agile Scrum. Again, the core skills are different than for a developer. You're looking at more of a, most veterans that I talk to that have that back-end experience lateral into the business roles more because they understand all of the functionalities of SQL. It's easy for them to pick up Power BI and Tableau, and a lot of their responsibility is focused on communication skills, being able to deliver the information, deliver the intel to the product owner and the project manager. And same for the senior advanced program. And even if you're not a staff NCO or a junior officer, you may have program manager experience in the civilian world that may be that may be heavier than it was in the military because of your rank, or you didn't stay in that long, or you served early in your life, and then a lot of your work experience is in corporate. So don't count yourself out of this opportunity if that's your situation. Just reach out to me, and then we can kind of share information and see if you would be a good fit for the advanced project manager role. All right, so our client base. A lot of our clients are in the financial industries, but are not limited to other industries across the country. I've placed veterans with Bank of America, Shake Shack, Walt Disney. We've even had candidates that had one vet that interviewed, and he interviewed so well, they put him in a trainer program so that he could become a trainer. So it's just so many different points of entry and opportunity at FDM. You just have to be able to embrace the challenge, and lean forward with the hiring process. But these are the different industries that we service at FDM. It was a slide in here that I'm not seeing, but I want to kind of take a pause and kind of talk about as far like compensation and training. So training at FDM is fully remote, and it's paid training. We pay $15 an hour for that period where you're training at FDM. Once you finish and complete your training and you start with the client, you go into a contract. You start working on your contract application, which is 2 years. And the comp structure for the technical roles is $50K, is over the course of the 24 months, over the course of the 24 months, is $50K, right? And then once you hit the 9th month, you're gonna get a $5K increase, which puts you at $55K. And then at the last 8 months of your contract application, you'll hit $60K. So the comp structure for the 24 months for the technical roles is 50, 55, 60. Now for the business roles, the comp structure is a little different. It starts off at 50K, and then at the 9th month, you hit 52.5, and then at the last 8 months of your contract, you'll hit 55K. So it's 50, 52.5, 50. So those are your comp structures for your left and right markers for the technical roles and the business roles. Now, for the advanced project manager roles, the assessment process and the hiring process is a 180. Based off your experience and how well you go, you tunnel through the assessments. We had senior talent at the lowest, we was able to get 65K. At the highest was 100K. But that's if you have to experience to support that the compensation. Okay. The training is fully remote, live instruction, and a combination of a 3-stage training model: live instruction from trainers in Canada, US, and the UK, group projects, right? Because you will collab with your peers in whatever course or cohort that you're training stream that you're in, or you may have to collaborate with another cohort. Maybe if you're in a software development cohort, you may have to collaborate with the project managers cohort to work together in our pods, which is almost like once you complete training, for 2 weeks, you'll sit in this pod where you'll virtually be working on site to be able to identify any training indicators that we need to address before we deploy you to the client. So there's really no room for you to make mistakes, before we send you off to the client. We take care of that. We make sure that you're proficient in your, roles and responsibilities before you deploy. Now, these are our benefits at FDM. What we offer our veterans: 15 days PTO. If you're a reservist or you're in the National Guard, you don't have to tap into your PTO in order to take care of your mandatory service, right? To drill or to go to your annual training, or if you actually get activated to deploy. FDM will hold your training slot or your position until you return. The benefits, as far as health, dental, vision, it covers 65%. It just covers the individual employee. I know that some of you out there may have dependents It doesn't cover them, unfortunately, but it will cover you. As far as the 401k plan is fully invested after 2 years, and you could deposit up to 3% of your base pay into that 401k, and after the 2 years, FDM will match it. Awards and opportunities, it has like the military feel to it, recognizing the top performers, even during training. That's where it starts, right? I've received a few gift cards. I've been able to give out gift cards to veterans that, was recognized on LinkedIn, on FDM's website for their performance during training or during the pods, right? Or when veterans place with clients, right? They get, we also provide awards for that too. And then the referral bonus is nice as well. $750 referral bonus, especially, sharing the information with a vet. I'm always, from when I was an Army recruiter, I was always trying to, push the referral program to spread out the information about FDM.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what about folks that already have a PMP certification? Is there like a fast track for your program manager, project manager program?
Yes, there is, sir.
Okay, I'll be reaching out to you.
Roger that.
Michael, I also had a question as well.
Okay.
Just wondering, can the program be? So you said it can be done remotely. Can the program be done while in school? Just wondering that.
Who asked that question?
This is Shivam.
Sean. I don't advise it, okay, because it's live instruction. So if you can manage that, that's up to you. But I highly encourage veterans to be focused on FDM's training plan, because you trying to manage two different things is going to put you in. You're going to have something's going to have to sacrifice, okay? And it's just not a good practice of putting your hands in both baskets. Not in this situation. You need to be focused. The training at FDM is like high impact aerobics, man. From day one. So if you can manage that, that's you. But when I get that question during an interview, or if I'm talking to one of my guys and he's sharing that information with me, I say, look, you need to figure out what you want to do. You want to be a consultant with FDM, or you want to go to school. You got to pick one. Okay. Can
I still connect though with you to keep? Because I graduate December, so I was just wondering. I know I'm sorry.
No, we're good, Sean. At the end of my deck, I have my contact information. You can reach out to me directly, and I'll square you away. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. These are, exit points. After you complete your 2-year contract obligation with FDM. So we do have mid-senior level roles. So let's say if the client doesn't offer you a permanent role, because that's our program, right? We want you to be able to, that client to say to you when you finish those 2 years, to say, look, instead of you leaving, we want to hire you permanent. And then that's when you sit down with the client and negotiate the compensation package you deserve. So that's the relationship that you build from when you start with the client day one until, your 2 years are over. But if that doesn't happen, right, we have positions in our bandwidth where we could put you in to a 3rd year, and then we just basically negotiate your contract application for higher compensation. Transition to the client, we already talked about that. And then, other opportunities, I know for vets that don't want to stay with FDM, don't want to, transition to the client, they look at more of like a veteran, not like a government option, like USA jobs.
Is it only for the vets, or could it be for the dependents also?
It's open to dependents also, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
For the live stream training, could you tell us a little bit more about the schedule? Is it more in the evenings or weekends?
Good question. So the training is stood up in New York City. So it's on East Coast Standard Time. So if you're in Chicago, no, if you're in Texas, right, instead of training starting at 9, it's starting at 8, and so forth and so forth.
Okay, is it being held mostly in the morning or in the evening?
It's all day from
Because, you know, like,
from
I
9
have
to
a
5.
9 to 5, so.
I would like to be a respecter of time, so if there's any other questions that need to come in, we have some other people that need to present, so we can follow up with Michael at the end. Michael, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So the applicant criteria, as you can see, someone asked me a question about dependents. For veterans, you're not required to have a degree. The education requirement is waived. As long as you're a vet, as long as you can produce the DD-214, member 4, we can lean forward with the hiring process. But for dependents, they need to have a 4-year degree, but they receive the benefits of the veteran, like the compensation package. We look for you to be flexible, to be placed within all of our primary work areas. The 2-year contract obligation. Obviously, if you're a vet on this call, you're authorized to work in the US. And then all of the other bullets are more kind of like you're buying into the program, right? Having the purpose and the motivation for technology or business to be successful through our training program, because that's the only way you're going to get through that stage of the process. And this is kind of like how the selection process goes. You know, if anyone's interested in FDM after this meeting, I have the site on the slide. I'm gonna show it to you in the next day. Then I schedule a one-on-one with you on Teams. I do all virtual interviews. We schedule the online assessment. Now, the online assessment for FDM it's just a multiple choice assessment that's focused on the role that you're applying for. So if it's in tech, you're gonna have you're gonna have to deliver the technical answers to the questions like SQL, Linux, Unix, and then for the business side, it's a little more focused on the project management or problem solving. Once you pass both of those, and then you do a strength-based interview, which I'm going to talk about after this deck is done. Once you pass both of those, then your final assessments are completed. I can extend the offer, and then that's when you start your training thereafter. All right, this is my contact information. My email address, michael.griffin@fdmgroup.com, and that's my work phone number. And then you can follow me on LinkedIn on the only Michael Griffin, USA, Army retired.
That was fantastic, Michael. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I know we strive for time, so I'm gonna get through these slides. But I think this is very important, right? The strength-based interview. In the last 2 years, I understand how important the strength-based interview is into the hiring process, right? Because the interviewer is looking for potential, and in FDM's Veterans Initiative program, because it's a training program, we have to focus on that. Like we have to zero in on the potential because I'm gonna use Carrie as an example. She's interested in tech, but she doesn't have any hard skills in tech. She doesn't have the experience in tech, but she's willing to learn. And through the strength-based interview process, we're able to zero in on those skill sets. So I'm gonna digress from the slides because I know we stress for time, but I'm just gonna talk about the STAR method. Okay, as veterans, everyone on this call, we all have a story, we all have a situation, we all had an assignment, we all had to do something for somebody else throughout our military career. And during the strength-based interview, a lot of times veterans have a hard time making that connection between the role that they're applying for and that experience or that shared experience that we need for them to bring to the strength-based interview, so that the interviewer can understand that individual skill sets. Okay. For example, like for project managers, right? You might not have a PMP, a project manager certification, but if you were involved in troop leading procedures, if you was a platoon sergeant or a squad leader, you manage the team. You manage more than, one person. Okay, so you understand the concept behind, a project or a mission or a goal. So you just have to bring that to the table when you're talking to that account manager, right? And at FDM, when you actually sit and you're in the strength-based interview, they're listening, like everything for them is what they hear and what they see. They're looking at your body language. They're looking at your like hand movement, right? When you interview a strength-based interview, the passion, it kind of flows with, it turns into more of a conversation than an answer to a question. So, but what they look for is how you package that answer to that question. And the STAR method is a great way to be more clear and concise with your answer when you're sharing your situation or scenario. All right. So the STAR method: situation, the event, obstacle, or challenge, right? So if you're going to share a situation, just be mindful that you want the outcome to be positive. So don't start off in the positive and end in the negative. You want to sandwich the information. If there's something that you want to capitalize on that's negative, put it in the middle somewhere. But you want to start off strong and you want to end off strong. But make sure it's a good example that's in detail. You can articulate it well, because they're looking for those comm skills during the strength-based interview. The task, right? Your responsibility and assignment. So, your mission. Sometimes we got to put on our patrol cap again when we thinking about using STAR, because I've been away from the flagpole for 2 years, so I'm kind of missing out on what's going on in the regular Army, but I can definitely remember on some of the things that I was able to do. So that's when you'll infuse that experience into answering these questions using the STAR method. Your steps, action, right? Important thing, right? A question that I asked during the strength-based interview is this: what is your preferred work method? Working as part of a team or independently, right? So if you say, some vets want to say both, right? But then you open up 2 doors, right? Where you have to provide 2 different examples of your preferred work method. So you just have to be cautious on how you answer the question. And if you feel comfortable bringing both experiences to the table, by all means, I want you to, but make sure you have the same energy. Make sure you use the STAR method each time. And it's just going to make you feel more comfortable answering the question and sharing your experience with the interview. And the results, right? This is where you get to capitalize on your successes, right? The end state, the end goal, what happened at the end of your assessment? Was it successful? What was the outcome? If you can use quantitative data, like, from last year, we was able to increase productivity by 10% or by 20%. Now that's showing them that your action planning, right, and your steps and procedures was successful, and we can show it based off of the numbers, not just of what you think and what you know. So again, this is sharing with the interviewer or whoever you're talking to your strengths. And don't be afraid. I always say this too. Don't be afraid to share a weakness, but make sure it ends in a strength. Like you rose to the occasion. You learned from your mistake. Oh, SBI prep. So the best thing for SBI prep is just practice. I mock interview. I'm real passionate about my candidates. They come into my pipeline, and the holding pattern before they get to the final interview is mock interview, because I want to make sure that they know the expectations of, one, the account manager and the trainer, because they're the ones that's interviewing the candidates. So, how you prepare for that is, ask yourself questions like, what do you actually enjoy doing, right? You already know that. That's almost like an implied question. You're going to provide the answer to that, in no time. But as you answering the question, use the STAR method so it's more clear and concise. What part of the job do you especially enjoy, right? It's not a loaded question, but when I ask this question, I get someone that's kind of starting in one direction and then makes a U-turn and then makes a right turn and then makes a left turn. STAR will keep you in the right lane at all times. And then how you close out that answer is by asking the interviewer, did I answer your question to the best of my ability? So now you basically put the question in their hands for them to move on to the next one. So that's the end of my FDM presentation and just sharing some TTPs on a straight-based interview process. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly, and this is not just for FDM, because I understand that veterans, sometimes just need someone to talk to about anything and everything. I'm an open book. I also mentor in the community. When I was in upstate New York, I volunteered at the VA and I continued that service here when I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. But as far as the veteran population that's here today, I'm gonna put my email in the text chat, and if you interested in FDM, that's fine. Reach out to me. If you just want someone to be a battle buddy, you can reach out to me too. Thank you for everyone's time today. Have a good one.
Michael, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate the volume and information that you brought, and then the opportunities that FDM has to offer. So thank you so much for coming today. The next speaker that we have today is Tiffany, and Tiffany is a cybersecurity engineer at Visa. Tiffany, I'd like to open the floor for you.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you guys are. Hopefully you are all well and safe. Thank you, John. Also, thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Michael, for such a robust presentation. I really appreciate your points about communication being really integral, even in the technical field. I feel as though you guys may have heard it referred to as a soft skill, but as a newly transitioned cybersecurity engineer from a non-technical background and from Army intelligence, I will say that it is a very coveted high-level skill that I think that we all can take the time to make sure that we're up to speed and that we're effective communicators. I won't take too much of you all's time. I just kind of want to give you a backgrounder of my experience with Intellectual Point. It is a very joyous occasion for me to be speaking with you all because I actually finished the DevOps Pathway program, fairly certain it's about exactly a year ago. And I did CompTIA Security Plus in June. I did Certified Ethical Hacker in July, and then I moved to Splunk with Tableau in August. Very, very shortly after, I attended a conference, which I will shamelessly plug. If any of you all are interested, it is called Black Women Talk Tech. I highly encourage you to look at that on LinkedIn or on the web. They also have another kind of virtual conference, if you will, Black Men Talk Tech, and they also do other programs for underrepresented communities in technology very broadly. I actually had COVID last year while I finished my Splunk exam, and I decided that I would attend a virtual conference, and that's the one that I chose. At that conference, there were several employers, and I really just took the time to say, you know what, let me actually use my communication skills, which through a lot of conversations and experiences, I began to covet it. And I believe as someone who transitioned into cybersecurity, sometimes you can have a bit of imposter syndrome because it's a new thing that we're trying out. And again, to Michael's point, your failures can be a super strength in that regard because it will give you the opportunity to examine things that you can do better to derive a plan forward. And so that's kind of what I did through the process with IP and attending different employment conferences. In that conference, I didn't only attend, and this is closing advice from me to any other veteran who is interested in gaining different employment. Black Hat is amazing. Yes, Keisha, you're correct. But I will be very transparent. Working in the industry, I talk to everyone. I ask a lot of questions about attendees of Black Hat. It is very social, and they do have a lot of training opportunities. But my focus for those of us who are transitioning and building our skill set is really all about hands-on experiences and direct networking. So any conference that you go to, I highly encourage you just to kind of arm yourself with those. don't have any blind expectations, really do your research and absolutely have a plan. So going into Black Women Talk Tech, I said I would speak to each of the virtual recruiters. I would, at the very least, I would introduce myself. While I'm not so sure it's something that we did in the military. After I left the military, I went back to undergraduate at Howard University. And it's definitely something we do there is we have these things that would be considered elevator pitches in which we get really good at just kind of explaining who we are, or at the moment, because it's always transitioning, we're always growing, and kind of what we want, what our direction is. And so in the sense of a employment conference or a technology conference, I was very clear that I wanted to introduce myself as a veteran who may not have all of the experience. And this is really important. I talk to a lot of veterans who become discouraged because a lot of the job recs and a lot of the programs are geared towards people who have a bit of experience. Even at the entry level, oddly enough, there's a lot of jokes about that. But I was very clear that I didn't have that. So the focal point became really making clear the transferable skills and then using that STAR method that Michael spoke about. I'm an Amazon alumni as well. I did operations management for them after I got my MBA, and they're very, very heavy on the STAR method, and not just at the hiring stage, but at the development and growth stage. It's a very good framework to actually provide a comprehensive idea, let alone to kind of like pitch yourself for employment. So I used the STAR method. I used my transferable skills. I was armed with, the very respected professional certifications that I got at IP. And I kind of just threw myself out there. IP helped me put a resume together, but I didn't stop there. I want to stress the importance of due diligence, not just, in cybersecurity, but, as a personal tenant. I know that we're all most of us are veterans or veteran affiliated or allied or dependents. You have to do the due diligence. Once I got that formatted resume, I reformatted it myself. I read it extremely closely to see how comfortable I felt with the concepts. If there was something on there that I knew, but I didn't feel as comfortable talking about it or speaking about it functionally or understanding what the use case is, I took the time to do more research and to do more independent study outside of what Intellectual Point may have been providing. I talked to peers. I don't know if anyone's in the DMV area, but I'm a Washington, D.C. native. So there are a lot of veterans in that space. There are meetup groups that you can go to. And you can also talk to a lot of our battle buddies have transitioned into spaces in which they can give you some insight. So I did all of that due diligence and I prepared and I presented myself there.
They're so heavy on my feet. They heavy. I love it. It helps me.
Gotta get them some new shoes, guys. Hot mic. Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. Excuse me. So with all of that due diligence, we arrive at, at an opportunity where you now can network. And I think the extent of networking should go beyond, okay, here's my LinkedIn. Here's my email address. Here's my contact information, but actually move the interaction to the direction in which you would want. If you would like to have your resume forwarded to a recruiter, if you are interested in relocation, you really have to kind of take your career into your own hands, and it could be a step back situation where you really want to be confident, right? And there's so many things that could weigh on us all as human beings and our confidence. But I think in a transitioning state, with the risk of imposter syndrome and learning anything new, you do want to work on your confidence in these situations because you are filling a gap. You are saying, this is my transferable skill. This is how I led a team in the military. This is how I could lead a team in this tech space, even though I have not worked in it before. And I work with a lot of veterans on resumes, and they're like, well, I don't want to inflate or conflate. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I got at IP was in regard to my resume. And I believe it was from Preem, and Preem made it very clear to me that, okay, you have received your CompTIA Sec Plus, you are certified and you're professionally recognized, and that means you have a competency. You have a technical competency, be it theoretical or not, you do. And you have to own that. And then with the due diligence and I think genuine interest in some of these tech domains and disciplines, it takes you further forward. my resume was given to maybe about 3 people I do work for Visa within the organization. Those people, I had no idea who those people were, but they were nice enough to forward my resume to a hiring manager who reached out to me. So at this point, I had not applied for that particular job or any job at Visa. I had applied to hundreds of other places, but this was an opportunity that was not necessarily in my line of sight, right? But it came from me taking a chance, being confident, and really resting on the skills and competencies. At that point, it became clear to me when people say sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. However, I didn't necessarily know those people, but I took the initiative to kind of continue networking and continue pushing. And that is really what I want to stress to you all. I also want to caveat something about what I will say is salary expectations, which was also a very interesting bit of information that I received just by virtue of tacit knowledge of this program. It's not just getting your certs, it's not just a job fair, it's not just an employment consortium, but it's tacit knowledge. And when it comes to being a Black woman in this space, I think it's hugely important that it is transparency about the expectations. I did not come from Absolutely, Robert. I did not come from a technical background. I did operations management at Amazon. At the time, I did have a graduate degree in business. And I had a lapse of employment as I actually got my professional certifications as well. Yet and still, my new offer beat, even within a 15-month employment gap, beat my last full-time employment by about $40,000. And I don't have any prior experience in technology. So I just want to encourage you all to really, really keep going in your job search. And I know that it can be mysterious. I just want to encourage you to keep putting yourself out there. And even in a time when things are not so certain, that even in the virtual space, we still have the opportunity, if not more, because it kind of flattens the globe, if you will, to really throw ourselves into different situations, meet different people, try different things, and present, all of this knowledge that we have taken the time to learn, because it's not easy. I think when I was unemployed, I was working at like a cigar bar and studying in like my mother's house, just to be very transparent with you all. But then, you continue to put the work in, you continue to try, and all of a sudden it's almost like the chips kind of start to flow in a very amazing direction. And particularly if you're truly interested in it, that can be really, really powerful. One thing that I will say as I wrap up, thank you so much, Prem. I appreciate you guys. I want you guys to think about something. So tech is a big field. There's probably nothing that we do or have that technology is not involved in, right? So we essentially all are operators, and I don't think that. Thank you, Darius, and I don't think that is the common thought. Thank you, Shivam. But we are operators. So this knowledge is something that we have a right to understand. What you'll find is that there's still the experience of maybe a little bit of cyber elitism because people, and not in IP, I would say everyone is super knowledgeable, super transparent, and absolutely please connect with me. I'll give you guys my information afterwards. Super open, but I encourage you guys to think about the different domains in cybersecurity, right? One thing that I didn't know, at the culmination of my DevOps pathway, was just pure number of directions that I could go, whether that be perimeter security, right? We learned from Sec Plus how to maybe configure the firewall, but we don't know necessarily about the actual practical application and use cases at the global enterprise level, and how huge perimeter security in and of itself is. The difference between perimeter security and cyber defense, right? When we're talking about Splunk and SIEMs and different alerts and monitors and detection. So I just think that, it's so vast. It would be really good to look at maybe look at different frameworks. I mean, I work at layer 7, but at the time that I graduated my pathway, I knew that was the application level, but I didn't know maybe like the attack vectors as easily or just different mitigations. And even now I'm in a space where I feel like my brain is completely blown open because there's not really a distinction between the network and the application level in the sense of an incident where, I could be on the incident bridge and I'm going to have to make use of a net map. I won't have the luxury of necessarily being able to call network engineering, but I don't have a CompTIA Network Plus. It has me interested now in getting one, but I think that's something that that pretty much keeps me amazed. Like there'll be a lot of framework distinctions in theory, but I think in practice and in the workforce, especially if you really want to be kind of invaluable in these spaces, you will learn as much as you can about as much as you can and not necessarily just kind of like, focus on just one domain. You should know upwards and outwards, like what the relationships are and what the implications are. What I'll do now is let you guys know that my company does have, it's not my company, but I do have equity. The company that I work for does have a robust referral program. And that referral program consists of, I know that each company is different. They have different process for that. So our process is you would essentially be entered into our internal system by myself or another employee. Meaning I would obtain your resume, and I'm going to be very, very frank with you. I do review all resumes that I take in. There's there's applications now in which people can ask for resumes from random or people, IT professionals that they've met, and that's cool. But for me, if I'm going to put you forward, I want to make sure that you're the best person for the job, because you wouldn't really like it or enjoy it if you weren't. Honestly, culture fit is hugely important in anything that you do, and I think we're taking the time to get the skills to ensure that we can exercise the liberties that culture fit. Like that's a luxury to be able to work in a space in which you actually like the people, or that's flexible, or that's remote. I work remotely, but we work in a hybrid schema, if you will. So what that means is sometimes I go to the office, but most times I do not. There's like the recruiting language is 50%. I go into the office on Tuesdays and Wednesdays if I so choose. Is it a benefit? Absolutely. And I had a senior mentor tell me that, what did he say? He said, you can work your job or do your job remotely, but he said, you build your career in the office. And I thought that was interesting. And given all the instability, yes, there are going to be situations, I believe, again, in which we can't go to the office, right? Unfortunately, but getting hired during COVID and then having in the office open back up is like such a luxury, because I think some of us are all tired of the non-distinction between working at home. And like, I want to wash my clothes if I work from home. I don't necessarily stay as focused. If I have a bigger home, maybe that'll change. But so I like to go to the office so I can focus and do more socializing than not. I'll give you guys my LinkedIn, and there's a really cool office party moment that I was able to have. So that, I couldn't get that if I was just like completely working from home. So there's a lot to it. So I encourage you also, like relocation things, just be open-minded. I don't live in DC anymore. I live in Austin, Texas. I was given the choice between Ashburn, Virginia, and Austin, Texas, and I chose Austin. I'm a DC native, and I just, Ashburn seems really nice, but kind of just like, I don't want to say boring, but sorry guys, it's probably beautiful, and I'm gonna visit soon. But I was like, I'm a young adult, I'm a young woman. I'm like, oh, Austin is fun. So like, there's so much opportunity. I had to wait, and I'm framing this. This is on the back of 15 months of unemployment. So you really do have to stay encouraged in the veteran community. Meetups. I actually am a part of ISC Squared's meetup. Even if you don't have a CISSP, you can participate in these professional gatherings, right? And there is a distinction between OWASP is another good one. OWASP, definitely, like anything OWASP, I 100% advocate. So, network, throw yourselves out there, and that's also got this. Yeah, I know, right? Network, throw yourselves out there, lean on your actual authentic story. To Michael's point, your star, you could sit and write. Meetups are virtual and in person sometimes. Yeah, they will distinguish on them, and I can share some after this. So really, I'll just share my email with you guys. Honestly, you can contact me or look me up on LinkedIn. Meetups, do not be afraid to rest on your theoretical competencies on your resume. Use your authentic experience to inform your STAR method narratives. And then look into the different domains of cyber. Oh, GRC, that's what I want, my shameless plug. I don't work in GRC, but I have a lot of great, amazing people that I work with in GRC. Governance, risk, and compliance. This is something that you do not necessarily need to have the highest level of technical competency nor programming to really get into. And it deals with regulatory compliance of different technologies. In my space, it is of financial technologies. In my space, is also a lot about hosting model and the differentiation between, onboarding different companies and mergers and acquisitions and what implications they have for assessing the security postures in those spaces. So definitely look into that. There was one more thing I wanted to plug, but it's okay because my email address is, when you guys are ready, I'll put it in the chat. It is Tiffany, my first name. Where's the chat? Okay, there's the chat. Not to Gary directly, but to you guys. Definitely stocks, FIEE, it's like a financial reporting, but definitely FI, I think it's triple E or double E, is like the main regulatory body that we report to at the level at which I work. There's a distinction. So I don't work in GRC. I actually work in AppSec. I do incident response, which is also a good space to get into. If you are kind of if you don't have period, it's a good space to get into, security operations centers. We have several, that's in Ashburn, that's in Colorado, Singapore, London, are our actual SOC centers. We do have an ATL location. It's not a fusion center, so no data there, but we just opened up a nice office there, I believe. I haven't visited. This is my email address. And you guys have my full name there. Please just give me a search on LinkedIn. And I do one-on-one calls. I don't charge any money for this because God blessed me enough to see me through it. So I feel as though this is invaluable tacit knowledge, which with incident response teams, no, sir. I'm not a SOC analyst. So the level at IR I work in is activated by the SOC leadership. So all hell breaks loose at a certain criticality level. I would encourage you guys to look into different levels of criticality. It'll help you understand a little bit more about IR. But if you're a SOC analyst at a certain level, you may have to do shift work. But I mean, I'm a former all-source intelligence analyst, so that doesn't necessarily, that didn't deter me, in my understanding and my my intentions to apply for the position. But it turns to come to find out I don't have to do that because we have something called Follow the Sun, and we actually have counterparts that, shift work is not fun. I worked shift work at Amazon. Yeah, I mean, me personally, if I had if that was my way in, then I'm a finesser. So I would totally take, I would take a SOC position at a Fortune 500 company. Absolutely. Because not only, and it might suck, but and it might not be for you. And that's why I love at will employment, but guess what you get during that time? You still get that experience, right? And you get the paycheck, but you get to see the data, and that for me is invaluable. That's worth the experience. I worked nights in Kuwait for 8 months straight. So, did it suck? Absolutely. But it's an invaluable experience. So, just got to weigh it out. Yes. So Tiffany Savage, definitely look into me, look me up, excuse me, on LinkedIn. And then you guys have my email address. Maybe like House Kuwait. Kuwait is hot. Kuwait is as hot as Texas. I live in Austin, and Austin and Kuwait are right there with each other. Can't find me yet. Maybe try Tiffany Savage Visa. That usually works. The good Boolean searches. Oh my gosh, Grace. Thank you. Yeah, it's super hot. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for the platform, Preem. Follow up with me if anybody just wants to chat. I obviously love to talk. I have to go to the office now because we have a senior vice president that I'm just going to say hi to and leave. But okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. I really appreciate your points of view with the job versus career, and you going into the office just completely illustrates everything that you just discussed. So thank you for sharing all of your experiences. The next
You're
person.
welcome, John. You're welcome. Have a good day, everybody.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Kim Brinkley, and she works for Savannah River National Laboratory. And what I would like to do is open the floor up to Kim.
Hi, John. Can you hear me? We have had some technical difficulties today being in a federal facility.
Absolutely.
So I was scared we weren't going to be able to present to you guys. But my name is Kim Brinkley. I am a senior talent acquisition partner with Savannah River National Laboratory. I've been here since 2016, so I'm relatively new to recruiting, but not HR roles and looking at people who apply to positions, etc. We have recently started performing true recruiting. And with me today, I have Tim Hutto, who is one of our new recruiters, and he's actually a veteran. And I'd like to introduce him and let him maybe introduce himself a little bit.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Hutto, retired Sergeant Major, 32 years. So I've listened to most of these stories today. I can relate to most of them. The only thing I want you to take after today from Savannah River National Laboratories is this is a different world from DOD to DOE. And there's opportunity out there. But as some of these speakers have said, I want you to stay in your wheelhouse. So when we show you some of the positions that we have that we're hiring for, we're hiring at a national level. So what we're doing is we're moving your mission set from DOD world to a mission set in DOE world. We run missions out here in the same format, probably at different levels. So I've recruited from everything from combat engineers to infantrymen to doctors, now recruiting for nuclear nonproliferation. My route took me out of the Army straight into recruiting for the Office of Chief of Cyber at Fort Gordon. So I did 3 years over there standing up their direct commission program. So I've had a different view from all different angles of recruiting. But being here at DOE, I would just say if you're going to apply for jobs out here, stay in your wheelhouse. So if you're in the engineering field, don't look for scientist positions and apply. Stay in your wheelhouse. Stay where you feel you're strongest at. You can come to work now without degree work, but it has to be entry level. So I hope you're using your GI Bill and you're utilizing that to further your career advancement. But anybody that's local, we are in the Savannah River National area. So we are in Aiken, South Carolina. So we have a pretty big lab that's growing, and this is a good time to get into the lab industry. If you don't know a lot about labs, don't worry about it. DOE's had the best kept secret that DOD never knew about. I walked into Nevada when I walked in here. So Kim's going to give you a great presentation, and we certainly look forward to any questions we can answer later. If it goes beyond time, you can reach Kim at her email, and we'll do our best to get back with you. And thank you all for your service.
Yes, thank you for your service. I'm sorry you can't see us today. So your service to the country doesn't need to stop just because you're leaving the military. It's finding ways to shift it from a military paradigm to a civilian paradigm. We at the Savannah River Laboratory have a motto, and it's called "We Put Science to Work." We're an applied research and development laboratory committed to solving international complex technical problems in the areas of environmental management, national and homeland security, and energy security. Savannah River Lab has recently become a standalone laboratory as part of the Patel family of laboratories under the Department of Energy. So we're growing and evolving every day. So Tim and I would like to talk to you about re-energizing yourself, transitioning your resume, and we are hiring. So I'm going to try to go through this quickly. I know we still have one other speaker, so I want to be respectful of time. But to re-energize yourself, embrace who you are and where you are now. During this stage, it's important to realize it's a stage of self-discovery. It provides you the opportunity to build the best version of yourself. To gain a clear sense of self, always allow yourself to press the pause button. Reflect on where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. Be honest with yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your core values? Look at yourself. Let yourself look at the negative and positive and what you've learned along the way. Once you have all this down, use the information to create a purpose statement for yourself, which will help you with your resume.
And understand what you're doing on a daily basis, you build your resume. What you've done over the past year, you're building your resume. What you've done over 4 years, when you've done time in the sandbox, everything that you have done up to this day has built your resume. What you have to do is take an honest assessment of what it looks like today and know what you want it to look like and where you're applying. Now, everybody can go in there and copy and paste words off of Google and post it on a resume. But when it comes to this level of hiring, we're going to want you to explain it. And we read a lot of resumes. So just know that when you're doing your resume, re-energize yourself means take an honest look, do an honest assessment of what you actually have qualified for and what you want to be qualified to be doing. And you have to get there and you have to have a plan. And that's the hardest part of all of this, because if you don't plan to be successful, you're probably not going to make it. So re-energize that effort. Take that extra time to do that extra class or whatever it is to get you where you want to be performing at the level you want to perform at.
So transition your resume. Preparing a civilian resume with military experience. Determine your post-military career path or the job you're looking for. And remember, when you're applying for jobs, contour your resume to each job you're applying. Don't use the same resume for every job you apply to, because there may be skills and experience that you have in one thing that you may not have in another. So what skills, experience, and accomplishments do you want to highlight? Evaluate your list of skills against the relevancy of the job you're interested in. Do you have college? If you do, put down whatever college degree or major you have. Relate any military training to the civilian equivalent. If you have a security clearance, put that only on positions that require security clearance, because not all jobs do across the government. What soft skills do you have? Are you a good negotiator? Do you persuade well? Are you good at critical thinking or leadership, teamwork? That's just to name a few. And just gives you an idea of what to think about as far as what are your soft skills. So highlight what your soft skills are. And then translate military terms to civilian terminology. Instead of using words like you commanded a group, use supervised. Instead of using the word subordinate, use employees or team. Integrate keywords from the job description throughout your resume where applicable, because there are some HR programs that will pick up on keywords when you're applying. We don't do that here, but it does happen. Identify outcomes for your team that would be considered key indicators to success. Use action words such as increased, reduced, added, expanded, shortened. Quantify it by selecting a figure to represent the change. Example, increase something by 20%.
It has to be measurable and quantifiable, but here again, like she said, read your resume. You'll be amazed how many I get a day that don't even go in and take the time to actually put in the position they're applying for. They just posted one they put to another company 2 weeks ago, didn't even change the company they're applying to on there. So take the time to read that resume before you hit submit. And like she said, even though we use a lot of acronyms in DOD world, they use just the name DOE, but there's no place for it on your resume. Explain it out, make sure, because that's your representation of you in person. That's what determines whether you get that next level or not. That takes the most effort to get right first out of the chute to get you lined up for the second phase.
So Tim and I put together a list of, this isn't an all-inclusive list, but this just gives you an idea of the types of roles that we hire here in the laboratory. We're always looking for engineers. We're always looking for scientists. We are growing our IT and cybersecurity department throughout the laboratory. And then we have other roles because, you know, we have accounting and procurement and those types of things. Industrial hygiene, which is, you would have to have basically a toxicology degree for that. Industrial technology, health physicists, which is radiation and knowing how to deal with those types of things. Business analysts, counterintelligence. We put a link on here to our webpage. Hopefully it'll go to it. And that look like it's going to work. Okay, this is our webpage for Savannah River National Laboratory. You can find anything you want to know about what we do. And if you go here, here's careers. You can go here to SRNL jobs and type in SRNL. We are still connected to the main contractor here at Savannah River site, which is located in Aiken County, South Carolina. Most people think it's in Savannah, Georgia, but we aren't. So it's a DOE facility, and we still have connections with the former contractor since we've just recently broken off. So you'd have to type in SRNL here, and then all of our jobs would come up for you to see. Let's see if I can get it. So I'll bring one up just so you can see it. And then here's a list. Here's 2 engineering jobs that we currently have available. It's 12 o'clock, so I know we still have someone that needs to speak. So Tim and I are both on LinkedIn. Please look us up. Please join LinkedIn so that we can find you when we're recruiting for jobs. And thank you for your time. You have anything else?
No, we appreciate everything y'all do. And I promise you that if you can make that step, that leap over from DOD to DOE, you probably come hunt me down and say, you know what, you told me the truth. It is a different world. But it's a great place to work. It's growing. This is where you want to be. I can tell you, if you don't know where Savannah River National Laboratory is, we're about 20 minutes where they play the Masters at in Augusta. So we're right in between Augusta. We're 2 hours from Charleston, South Carolina, 2 hours from the mountains in North Carolina. So it's central located, but it's a place you can plant roots and begin your new careers, I hope. And we hope that we can work this out for you down the road. Charles, glad to know you from here.
Well, thank you for sharing, Kim. I really appreciate you bringing all the opportunities that you brought to the table today. It was great to hear from you. I know several of the people that work with you there, and everybody says great things about what you guys are doing there. With no further ado, what I would like to do is open the floor up to Prem. Prem is the CEO of Intellectual Point, but he's also a personal mentor, and he is just a wealth of knowledge. So Prem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, John. So can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. So what I'm going to do is, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep it short because we are already over time. So I normally speak for 30 minutes, but no big deal. We will try to do 10, 15 minutes and wrap it up. So first of all, there was a lot of great talks from different speakers. So you can see that there is a ton of different ways you can get hired in the jobs, right? You have a lot of opportunities looking at all the different ways you can get in. And Tiffany's story was very, very inspiring. You can see without even a lot of IT experience, it's not difficult to get a foot in the door. So here are the areas that are very, very strong when it comes to IT jobs, right? Cloud computing, cyber, data analytics, data center, artificial intelligence, and networking. So there is nothing that stops you from getting in. There is a ton of different opportunities. And I get people who ask me, Prem, I didn't get a job in cyber, but I graduated with all the cyber certs. And I said, okay, so what are you getting jobs? They're like, oh, I'm getting something in data center. I'm getting in data analytics. I mean, don't have that mind block, right? Because all of these are fantastic fields and you may never know. You start with a help desk or data analytics or some kind of job, and it's so much easier to jump into cybersecurity later, especially if you have the skills and the certification. So let not that be a mind block, like I'm not getting my dream job. Sometimes you start with learning as quickly as you can, because without experience, sometimes it can be very challenging. So these are all fantastic areas to build a career. And what has happened is all the other areas within IT, with non-IT, they are shrinking, but IT is growing big time as a result of pandemic. So there is clear path to IT jobs. And the good news is nowadays it is not about 4-year college degrees. So I get a lot of people coming to me and say, Prem, I don't have a computer science degree. I don't have an IT degree. Do you know the world has changed? I mean, this is actually not even necessary in some of the jobs. If you look at companies like Tesla and Netflix and Google and IBM, and these are massive companies that can find people from the best colleges. But they are the ones who are coming forward and saying, we are not going to be hung up on this 4-year college degrees. We are looking for people who have the right credentials, who have the right skills, and have the right mental aptitude. And we are going to get you on the job and we are going to get you trained, right? So a lot of people just have that mind block that I don't have a college degree. Why would somebody talk to me, right? With micro credentials, all the certifications that you are going through, Security Plus, Ethical Hacking, Splunk, AWS, I mean, this is real deal. This is what people are valuing more than your traditional college degrees. And that is where you need to take pride in what you have achieved, and you need to leverage and market yourself, and you get to network with people. Like you heard the importance of LinkedIn. So that is really critical nowadays, that you don't sit there and have that mind block. I don't have this, I don't have that. If you have the right mindset and you're willing to work hard and you're willing to learn, nobody can stop you. So there are a lot of different titles that are very popular. These are some of the entry-level positions: desktop support technician, help desk technician, IT support technician. So don't get hung up on only one title, right? A lot of people just search for one title or 1 or 2 different positions, and then they're like, hey, there's not much out there. But here is the list of all the entry-level jobs that don't require too much experience, right? And you may be new to the IT. You want to expand your search in looking in different keywords. Just like in Google, you put different keywords and you get different results. And sometimes you may be missing the right keyword, and therefore you don't see the right results. So it is very important that the same job that you're looking for may be called with a different title. And you have to absolutely expand your search and see where you can get a foot in the door to get some real experience as quickly as you can. And don't wait for the economy to get better. I get a lot of people like, oh, we are in recession, so nobody is hiring. Oh, we have a bad stock market and we just came out of pandemic, so nobody's hiring. That's all not true, because IT has never slowed down. In fact, IT hiring has always been very, very solid, even throughout the pandemic. It is the other areas, non-IT related, non-cybersecurity related, that have slowed down, and that's where people are feeling like there's not many jobs out there. But if you have graduated with all these fantastic credentials, you want to put them to work immediately. You don't want to wait 1 year and hope things will be better, right? There are many different levels you can go in cybersecurity, all the way from entry level all the way to the top, and there is nobody stopping you. You come with 0 experience, you can still get in. You come with 10 years experience, there is something you can go for, right? The world of cybersecurity is changing so rapidly. There is something that you will always find interesting. Whatever you learned 5 years ago may not even be useful anymore, because now the whole threat landscape has changed and there are so many new type of cyber attacks. So you are a continuous student and you are continuous. The employers are looking for talented people all the time, even if they have a team that is pretty solid. So here are some of the entry-level jobs that you can apply in cybersecurity. You can be a security analyst, you can be a security specialist, you could be a incident responder, forensic expert, auditor, junior pen tester. I mean, there are so many different titles. And I get surprised when people have all these credentials and they come and tell me it's been 6 months, Prem, I didn't even get one interview. I mean, that doesn't seem right. If you have all the right credentials, you have a solid resume, you have a very good LinkedIn profile, and you are actively looking, there is no reason you should be sitting there and waiting for some economy to get better, because cybersecurity is on fire. I mean, those jobs are just growing every day as the threat landscape and the macroeconomic situations around us are getting more dangerous, and people are going into IoT world with driverless cars, smart devices. I mean, this is the time to jump in. So if you get into a SOC analyst position, it is one of the best places you can land if you wanted to start your career. And this is the place where you can see the entire threat landscape of what's happening, all the amazing tools you learned in the class, from Palo Alto to Mandiant to Sentinel-1, CrowdStrike, Cisco, Symantec, Splunk, everything comes together in the SOC, and you can, within 6 months, 1 year, you can be learning so much about cybersecurity, and then it opens up massive opportunities for you, either working in the SOC or going into different positions. You can also get into penetration testing, and I get people who don't get a pen test job, but they start with help desk, then they go into network admin, and then they become pen testers. Nothing wrong with it, guys. Keep an open mind. When you're applying for jobs, don't get hung up. This is not my ideal job. This is not my dream job. Just look for, is there a pathway from the job that I'm being offered? Will I get an opportunity to learn? Is this a good company? Are they stable? Do they have opportunities for me to move around? And if the answer is yes, there is nobody who can stop you, because once you are in the job and you excel, people notice, right? In good companies, people take notice and they're saying this person is fantastic. He or she is a go-getter, and you will actually be taken care of. I mean, I've seen that happen over and over, where people have started with help desk and today they are in one of the most lucrative cybersecurity jobs, and it didn't take them 10 years. Literally, they transition in 1 year or less. So you can get into penetration testing, you can be a threat analyst. I mean, there are so many different ways. But one thing you have to do is you have to introspect yourself and you have to look for what is it that you are good at, right? Don't let somebody else define that for you. You have to ask yourself and say, I really, really love this job within cyber or within IT. And it will show when you go for your interviews, when you'll be passionate about it. Right. So, and then salaries, don't worry about it. There are anywhere from 55,000 to 133,000. The money is not a problem if you look at IT jobs and cybersecurity jobs. You have credentials, you have experience, you have clearance. Sky's the limit. Nobody can stop you, right? And you can negotiate. You can be at the right place with the right time, and you will make serious money. You have to be very practical. Hands-on is very critical. Don't just read the book and say, I am very smart. No, you can read book all day you want, but you have to get to the tools. There are so many free tools, as you see on this chart. There is nothing stopping you from sitting and practicing. your class ends, your training ends, doesn't mean your learning ends. Learning needs to continue without any obstacles. You can also look for different types of places where you can learn. Like, for example, people say, you know what, I don't have the access to the lab. It takes $10 to sign up on Try Hack Me or Hack the Box, right? They have the full lab setup. If you want to create your own lab, you can create a virtual box and install all the free tools and Kali Linux and Metasploit. Literally in 1 hour, you can have your own lab. So there is no requirement that you have to spend thousands of dollars to get your hands on. But if you are not doing hands-on and your knowledge is fading away, you are taking a big risk, because after 6 months, you may not remember many of these things. So it is very critical you continue to learn and have fun at it and continue to hone your skills. So when the opportunity comes, you are as ready as you can be. All right. And then the last thing I want to do is talk about the importance of a good resume, right? So having a good resume is very critical. You get only 20 to 30 seconds when somebody notices your resume. After that, it is going in some database or some file or some trash. So if you are not doing your resume that looks really good and it stands out, you're missing out. You may have the best qualifications, but you're not going to get a call because the initial screening is not humans. It is being done by machines. It is done by applicant tracking systems. They look for keywords. Those keywords are very critical. If you don't have time to spend on your resume, you will not be successful. This is your one piece that is one chance that people will look at. And that resume should be an exact reflection of LinkedIn. Remember, LinkedIn is your current resume, which is always on. You don't have to send it to anybody. People will look you up and they will connect with you. You connect with people. So LinkedIn has to be top notch. You have to put your location. You have to put your school. You have to put your credentials. You have to put your best picture on it. All that is very important. And one thing that is new is I get a lot of people asking me, Prem, how do I stand out in thousands of people? So create a video resume. This is the new thing, right? Video resume, maybe 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute video resume, not like 1 hour. You want to absolutely put your best suit or whatever outfit. You want to turn on the camera. You want to give a nice elevator pitch on what is unique about you. Maybe you have clearance. Maybe you're a veteran that has a lot of experience in, even if it's non-IT, but it can be translated into IT. Maybe you got some fantastic certifications like ethical hacking, CISSP, right? It is that elevator pitch. You have to write a little script and practice in front of the mirror and then turn on the camera. It doesn't have to be professionally done like a movie style. As long as it's not crappy, as long as it's pretty decent, right? You can share it. You don't have to wait for it to be perfect. But somebody watches that literally 1 minute video resume and they're like, oh my gosh, this person seems very promising. Let me give him a call or let me give her a call. So it creates a lasting impression. Immediately you stand out among thousands of resumes that have no face. So think about it, how you can distinguish yourself, how you can separate from the crowd and you can rise to the top. It's all about getting the mind share when it is a very crowded market with too many people trying to jump in. You have to do something different, right? You also have to be very active on LinkedIn and forget the Facebook. If you're not active on Facebook, it doesn't matter, but LinkedIn is a professional network where you can post some articles, you can respond to other people's articles, you can connect with like-minded individuals. You also have to understand the importance of soft skills. When you get an opportunity knocking on the door, it's not just your technical skills, your communication skills, your ability to articulate exactly when they're asking you a question. Are you beating around the bush? Are you being very, very articulate in what they asked and getting to the point and being polite, being respectful, being self-aware, being able to communicate very effectively? And people immediately notice like, wow, this person is very articulate and he or she is not wasting my time, is getting right to the point, and they feel very good about bringing you on board. And by the way, you get all the technical skills with all the certs. right? So always research about the company. And we heard about the STAR method and recruiting and how these recruiters don't have a lot of time on their hands. So you have to do everything to be 100% ready, because that opportunity, every opportunity that you get is, think of it, you got only one opportunity. You don't want to squander it. You want to be as ready as you can. So there is no reason for you to not to have researched the company, right? Whenever you're getting a job opportunity and you know this is exactly what you have been waiting for, immediately get into action. It's like, what's that company? Who's the hiring manager? What are they looking for? Where are they? What projects do they have? I mean, you have gathered some really good intelligence. So when they tell you, do you have some questions about us? You say, look, I have looked you up. I really like what you guys do, but I want to know specifically about this thing. Now that creates a good impression, because you did take time to look up the person, to look up the company, the projects, and that goes a long way, saying that this person is not just showing up and hoping that he will get hired. He or she has done the homework, right? And when I give him some assignments, he will go and prepare. He or she will not just ask for help, right? So that indirectly speaks about your aptitude, your way, your style, all of that. And when you get a phone interview, that's another chance, right? They won't call you for in-person interview. Phone interview is a quick screening by the HR. They may not care about your technical skills, but they do want to know what you got, that they should bring it to the top, your resume, and call you for an in-person interview. So you have to be very articulate. You have to prepare for what they are looking for, and make sure you read the job description very carefully, so you can talk in the non-technical words to the HR person, get him or her excited about your case, so they present you to the hiring managers. And they are always looking for not just technical ability, written communication, passion, attention to detail, somebody who's self-driven, right? They don't tell you all these things, but this is what they are indirectly measuring. And a lot of people miss out on that, and they think, oh, if I got 4 certifications or 3 on my resume, they should give me an offer. It doesn't work that way. It is you have to package yourself really, really well. All right, so that's it. I mean, with us, you get all these different resources. We have a job board here that I put in the chat a few seconds ago. If you log into that and you create your profile, you will be able to see all the different types of jobs in there. And we are continuously posting additional jobs. And as you heard from different companies who spoke, right? Take all those best practices and don't let anybody slow you down. You want to put your best foot forward. And Tiffany's talk was so inspiring. I mean, there is an example of a person who's just like you. Many of you are in the same boat Tiffany was 3 months ago, and we want the same success story. I want all of you to come and talk about how you were successful, how you landed the job. In spite of all the obstacles, you did not have to slow down, and you were able to accomplish. And those are the winners who make things happen, right? You want to be the winner. All of you have that ability. It's just you don't know your inner strengths. And that is why we are doing all these presentations, to give you the hope and the opportunity to learn and say, yes, I can do it too, right? So we are here as a team. You saw Intellectual Point team is always there to support you. We have all these recruiters, and here is all the different links. So we'll send you a copy of this presentation. So if you want to get to some of the interview questions, you want to get to the meetup site, you want to get to the YouTube, they are all listed over here. And if you want to contact me, this is my direct contact information. I always like to help people. This is our culture, not just me. Whether you reach out to John, Cameron, Carrie, any of these, Tyler, Steven, there's so many people on the team who are all so eager to help you. You have to ask and you shall receive. All right, so with that, I will end my talk over there and give it back to John.
Well, everyone, I really want to appreciate your time and your efforts for coming today. We're going to wrap everything up right now. If you have any further questions, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. We have the Career Pathfinder group, and I encourage the questions to flow there. If you're on Discord, send out questions on Discord as well. And you can always reach out to all of us individually. Thank you, and you guys have an awesome day.